Hi, I'm Marc Snetiker of Entertainment Weekly, and today I'm joined by Orlando Jones, who plays the trickster spider god, Mr. Nancy.
Now, if you haven't seen the latest episode of American Gods and you don't want to know what happened, look away now. We are about to throw some major spoilers at you. Look away!
The following program.
Modern style.
So, to help us break down the premiere episode, The Bone Orchard, we've enlisted Shadow Moon himself, Mr. Ricky Whittle.
Thank you. Thank you.
And the striking Yetide Badaki, who you all just met as Bilquis, the goddess of love.
She is very striking. I feel a little left out, though.
For all three of you, you guys all started working on this show well over a year ago. Tonight was the premiere episode. How did it feel for the cast to finally see everyone see the hard work that you've been putting in?
I was just fangirling the whole time. I mean, to see everybody up there, Shadow killing it.
Well, I didn't kill anyone. You would one kill.
She didn't. Technically, she didn't kill.
She didn't kill. She loved to death.
You know.
I mean, can we just talk about that for a second? What you just did?
Now you're making me blush.
What were your nerves about that scene? Because that's such a big scene in the book. People were eager to see.
It was your audition piece, right?
It was my audition piece, and nerves. What are you talking about? That's just a Monday for me. No, but it was. It was my audition scene, and it was, you know, also one of the first times that I got to meet Brian and Michael, so that was an introduction.
Do you guys all remember your first meeting with Neil Gaiman?
It was the first time Shadow meets Mr. Wednesday on the plane.
Right.
So we brought in a whole plane into the studios, incredible, and filled it up with passengers. And Neil Gaiman first got to see his characters that he wrote in 2001 come to life, and it was a great moment for him. And you know, I got to talk to him about, you know, where Shadow came from and how he was feeling and where the story was going to progress, and just meet the guy. He's an incredible person.
Where did he say Shadow came from? Like, I'm interested.
Well, he's great, because the thing about is Neil is he's a storyteller in real life, and so when Neil talks to you, it's like he's telling a story, and it may take a while to
get to
finish a sentence, but you are just so engaged because he's so inspiring, and you're just like, yeah.
Best sentence you've ever heard.
Tell me more. I'm like, this is amazing. Stop. No, don't stop. Oh my goodness.
Let me ask you guys about a little Bone Orchard, because this was a big thing for people seeing the show for the first time. We see this Bone Orchard, we see this buffalo. What's your take, Ricky, on what it sort of means?
You see it. That wasn't there.
No,
I didn't have a clue. I was like, it was my first experience of blue screen and green screen. I've never done it before. You know, like I said, I've worked, Ian McShane, he did Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, Deadwood. He's done all this kind of, his CV, he's forgotten more work than I think I'm ever going to ever do. So he's done, this is my first time, and so like I'm in the Bone Orchard, and our incredible team, you know, built this cave and a tree, but it didn't resemble that, you know, it was so expansive and huge. So you kind of have to reach for your inner child and search inside, you know, for what's that. So you have a conversation with the director, David Slade, who kind of was like, yeah, you're gonna come through here and you're gonna see this and there's gonna be a buffalo, and you're like, okay, I get it. Okay, good, I'm good, let's go. And you have to just pass your trust over onto the director and producers to not make you look stupid. So you just, all of a sudden, you know, and you're going through this cave, and he's shouting at you, like, and he's just doing it. You're going through the cave, and there's a huge tree, and it's massive, and you're like, oh, wow, it's so wide, wow, it's wide, and there's a buffalo, where? It's behind a tree. Oh, there's a buffalo. No, it's bigger than that. Oh, it's a big buffalo. He just said, believe. Oh, that's spooky. And then he goes, and cut, and you're just like, I'm never gonna work again. That was so stupid.
Doing that, I just saw the buffalo.
Right?
You're
right, we're all here with you in the bone orchard
yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Stop.
I'm not really.
You weren't feeling it?
No,
I can go again.
It's not that I wasn't feeling it. It's just that, I mean, I know what it's like to have somebody yelling at you while you stare at nothing. and it just feels weird.
Oh, right.
Here's a tree. Okay, now buffalo. Like, you always feel a little lost.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask. It seems like the whole cast is super close, but
It's a lie.
in this in this first episode, we meet one of the villains of the piece. We meet the technical boy.
Or is he a villain?
He might not be a villain.
Because that's the great thing about this show
Exactly.
is it's about perspective, you know. And we enter the show through Shadow's eyes, and so at the beginning the audience isn't going to know what's going on. So people back home are probably very confused, but that's okay because Shadow's confused. And when you're building a puzzle, you start with one piece, which is Shadow. You add that next piece, which is Wednesday, and as you start adding pieces, the picture starts to become a little clearer. So as Shadow learns, the audience is going to learn. But because we enter through Shadow and he meets Mr. Wednesday first, we see Technical Boy as the bad guy, but maybe what would happen if Technical Boy reached him first? Would we see Mr. Wednesday as the bad guy? And that's an interesting take on these stories.
Technical Boy is one of the characters who gets a big bump up in the series, but Bilquis is also one of the huge characters in this show. Tell me a little bit about what we're going to learn about her and what she wants over the course of the season.
This is where I always say I have to put on my dancing shoes because I'm going to dance around the top a little bit. Yeah, a little.
I like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah,
like
yeah,
that one,
that's
Ricky?
good.
Yeah, you can use that if you want.
I appreciate that.
But I mean, one of the amazing things is Brian and Michael are just such incredible storytellers, and they are masters of building the story from the bottom up. And with Bilquis, you definitely will get more of an idea of where she's come from, where we find her, and where we may possibly see her go as she functions as this nexus between these old and these new gods and the brewing war.
Well, let me ask you. There's this thing they do in the practice of divination where you offer a blessing to just people in your life, and I wanted to know if you guys would offer a blessing to a character in this first episode, a well wish, you know, a warning. Who would you want to bless? Who's not your character in
I
this first
definitely
episode?
would bless Shadow.
He needs it.
He definitely needs it.
He's
As
going
you
through
enter
it.
new worlds, may you experience nothing but love and theater spittle.
And there's
But yes, that's the blessing for Shadow. May you experience nothing but love and joy and wonder and the magic.
yeah.
It's one of my favorite things, actually, because when people say, oh, the show's so crazy, like, what's going on? I go, it's not that crazy at all. He gets out of jail. He finds out his life is upside down. The love of his life is gone. He meets this strange guy who knows more about him than he knows about himself or his world, and suddenly he's on a journey. One of my favorite things about it, though, I have to say, is that I really love the transition that you make both physically and also just as a character, from the character in prison to as you go through being with Wednesday. Do you think is he a non-believer at the point that all these things are happening to him? Like, do you think he's holding on to
I
something?
think that's the only thing that kind of makes this show work, because he starts off as a non-believer. It leaves him completely open, and he's an intelligent guy, and an intelligent guy's first reaction to something so crazy is a logical answer. You know, you don't see a UFO, you see a satellite. You see a star. You don't see this magic. Shadow was high from the toad skins that Tech Boy was smoking, or did he really imagine seeing this or that? You know, and it's a real struggle for Shadow this season. Is he going crazy, or is the world actually crazy and he is really seeing this stuff? And that's something, you know, he's going to have to make a decision on.
Yetide, I have a question for you. We spoke earlier about this idea of Bilquis getting empty calories. And in stark contrast to the 4,000 Ricky got to gain the weight, tell me a little bit about what Bilquis is actually feeding off of and kind of what that means for our modern times.
Right. I mean, one of the fascinating things about getting to play this ancient goddess of love was to look into the ideas of intimacy and the ideas of love in the age of technology, and what are we all dealing with when we're trying to connect with fellow human beings. And I think I mentioned with you earlier, there was that New York Times article about how millennials were actually getting less sex and less intimacy in general than previous generations.
Yeah, fewer partners.
Yeah, yeah. You would think with all the
know.
Tinder and the Grinder and all that good stuff that there would be a lot more connection
Accessibility.
and accessibility. And there was even something about the kind of connections that were then happening. And it really was fascinating to see Bilquis in this new world and how she, as a goddess of love, is very anemic. Because even the connections that she does get, even those moments of fleeting worship, are not filled with the same kind of full nutrition that she had been previously used to, that it was literally empty calories that she's getting, enough to subsist, but to actually really thrive, she's struggling. She's trying to survive in this whole new world where she only gets maybe the fake chemicals and instead of the veggies and spinach.
Right. She gets the Splenda.
She gets the Splenda version, exactly. So enough to survive, but not necessarily enough to thrive.
Empty worship, as it were.
Empty worship, yeah.
That is interesting.
You always think of modern society, people trying to get followers or they try and get likes. And Bilquis is from the age where she got sex, real worship, real love.
But even in that sex, it was deeply connected.
Yes, primal.
Right.
People wanted to be there.
Right.
When their phone rang, they didn't go, oh, hold on a second, I just need to answer this real quick.
I saw a little Olandra just come out.
A little bit of
Hey,
a
boo-boo. So that
Olandra on set, we need to tell people because otherwise they're going to think we're crazy.
you need to tell them, boo-boo.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
So I have an inner black woman. And my inner black woman will sometimes pop out in order to explain things to people.
Yeah.
I can't help it because I was raised by black women, so I keep an inner black woman with me.
Sure.
Her name is Olandra. Hold on, boo-boo. There you go.
Oh, thank you.
I know your leg is asleep, so go ahead and put that over here.
Oh, thank God.
I know it's asleep. And that's what Olandra does. You know, she helps out as best she can with who she need to help out with when they need help. And Bilquis don't need no help because when she's in a situation with somebody, she just take what she needs. Okay? All right, boo-boo.
I love it. All right, guys. So next week, give me your one-sentence tease for where we find everybody next week.
Ooh.
Well, you get your big introduction to Mr. Nancy.
Yes.
Oh, that is true.
Your big scene.
Yes, yes. There'll be lots of Mr. Nancy next week. And I think also you get to get a lot more information about what happened in this episode. You get a lot more closure on little elements that you didn't quite understand yet.
Sure.
So it's unfolding still.
There's some pretty big names coming next episode.
That's right, Cloris Leachman?
Cloris Leachman, Peter Stormare.
Yeah, Peters.
I mean, there's
Is media in this episode?
I mean, Gillian Anderson.
Yeah, you meet media.
That's right.
Gillian Anderson may be appearing.
Maybe.
So a lot to come next week. I love
it's
it.
exciting. It's
gonna be a
like
big
I
week.
say, it's just this roller coaster is just getting started.
Well, on that note, join Marc and I next time we break down episode 2, The Secret of the Spoons, with a roster of guests that you will not believe. See you next time.